The 417Gamers is a group of board, tabletop, and card gamers in the 417 area code. This is the podcast. Welcome to the 417 Gamer Podcast, episode 43, the one with older games. In the 4, Andrea and I discuss 4 games we've been playing recently: Guillotine, Oddland, Zoo King, and Northwest. In the 1 topic of the show, friend of the podcast, Alan, stops by and we talk older games. He joins us in the 7, where we talk about our 7 favorite hobby games that are 15 years old and older. Without further ado, the 417 Gamer Podcast. Welcome to the 417 Gamer Podcast. My name's Rick.
And I'm Andrea.
In the 4, we'd like to talk about 4 games that we've been enjoying recently. Let's talk about Guillotine, Andrea. This is a game that we played 2-player that, we liked.
It was... I've never played a game like this before. Basically, you stack up cards in a line and funnel them to the guillotine.
Yeah, it's the nobility, the bourgeois.
Yeah.
The bourgeoisie, or whatever.
It's eat the rich, the game, the card game, basically.
Yeah, a little
morbid, a little.
Well, it's tongue-in-cheek. It's got cutesy art. This is designed by Paul Peterson, and it was published in 1998. So it kind of goes along with this episode, because this should be going with episode 43, the one with old games.
Older games,
if we do all this editing correctly. So, and this is published by Wizards of the Coast. The art is over the top, cutesy. I don't know what artist I would call it. The artist that is on this is Quentin Hoover and Mike Rabb. Not familiar with their other art, but yeah. So you deal out the nobles out in a line towards. There's a cardboard little guillotine that you assemble, and on your turn you have action cards you can play. That could reorder the order of the people in there, because some people are worth more points than others whenever you claim them at the guillotine.
Right.
Some of them get like set bonuses if you get soldiers. If you get like people in the clergy, if you collect different clergy people, they might have set bonuses.
Some of them are negative points, like there's a martyr or a townsperson that are worth negative points. You don't want to kill them. And
then there's some cards that will just move the guillotine from the front of the line to the back of the line, and it's reversed all the orders. And there's also some cards that you can play on other people's turns, to where, like, if they have it about set up and you're like, somebody got away. So the card that they just thought that they had guillotined, that person somehow snuck out and got out of there.
And good on them.
But all the cards are take that, and you're not the biggest fan of take that card games?
I'm not really.
I mean, we have enough friends that love their take that games, and I will play that with them, but it didn't really fit the games that you and I play a lot.
No, I wouldn't say it. I mean, I can think of other people that might enjoy this game, like, take that. It's just not for us.
Yeah.
Individually.
So the second game we're going to talk about Oddland. And so Oddland is by All Play. It is designed by Dan Schumer. Artist is Cam Kendall. This was suggested to us by Jess at Village Meeple. So they had their 2nd-year anniversary, and they tried to theme it as a masquerade gaming adventure. So you were encouraged to dress up as one of your favorite games and play that game. We dressed it up as one of our favorite games, which was
Ark Nova.
Yeah, we dressed up as zookeepers.
Yeah. You
had a hat that had a whole bunch of birds. I had a whole bunch of monkeys tied to me. You had a sea turtle. And I had a fox puppet.
Yeah.
We came out, they took our pictures. It was a good time. Next year, if you're in the area, in 2nd or 3rd week of June, get in on their 3rd-year anniversary.
And once she saw that we were dressed up as zookeepers, she brought us a few animal and zoo-themed games to try and play. Yeah,
because we had other life and adulting things we had to do during the day. And we took our showers and got dressed up for that. And I don't think that we might have been able to get Arc Nova in that time. I think we only gave ourselves 2 hours, and if we really got after it, we probably could have.
Sure.
But I think we were also hoping that maybe we'd see some other people that wanted to play, but everybody was already divided up in their games. There was a big group playing Blood on the Clock Tower. They were having a good time.
Yeah.
But Oddland is the game we played. So you discover this new area, and there's fascinating flora and fauna on a strange island. There's weird animals in there. There's like they're
kind of like, think jackalope type animal crossbreeds.
And this plays similar to Nemalia. One of our favorite games. You have square cards that have 4 different regions on them, and they have different types of territory. There's like wastelands, forests, waters, like purple mountain areas. So on your turn, when you play one out, you have to touch it by at least one of the square edges, or you can overlap up to 2. When we play Nemalia, you have to overlap. Yeah. This one you can, but you don't have to. And then you have different scoring features of the cards, like it's like an owl goat. It wants to be in the mountain areas. There's also kind of a Carcassonne element to the majorities. So if I already have a goat in this contiguous area, you can't put yours in there.
Yeah, the animals have to be at least so many squares apart.
They can't be in the same region.
Yeah.
So like on Carcassonne, if you build a city spot and I attach to it, I can't go in there because you've already put your knight in there. However, if I put it kind of off and I can try and build them together, then we're both in there. So there's a little bit of that strategy to it. The difference between this and Nemalia, besides the have to overlap and don't, you're making a collective board. You're all building towards it like Carcassonne. Where in Nemalia, everybody's playing their own little zoo area or preserve area. I liked it.
Yeah, it was a cute little card game.
But the fact that we already have Nemalia, I don't think this needs to add to our collection. But some of our friends have had a hard time getting Nemalia, so I don't know if it's between printings or it's also a game that I think some friendly local game stores might have just looked past because it's such a tiny game.
Right.
So if you missed out on Nemalia, look at Oddland. It's a fun little game. It's a little, drafting and putting your tiles down a la Carcassonne and Nemalia. Game 3 is another game that was suggested by Jess, and that was
Zoo King.
Zoo King. Zoo King is designed by, as my phone blanks out, Evan Johnson, and the publish is Saratoga Toy and Game Company. There's the artist is not credited on this. So basically, you're just going to build a tableau of cards. You each get to start with either a staff member or a facility, and that gives you kind of asymmetrical start. So you might get a little bit of extra money each round. I might get a little bit discounts on different things. So as you're building your zoo, you're trying to put animals in there, and you're trying to put more facilities and staff. So facilities usually help you acquire different animals. Animals will give you points because there's some trophies that'll score every 3 or 4 rounds. You'll get some scoring that'll come up. And then the staff can do multiple things. Sometimes they give you discounts on purchasing facilities. Sometimes they give you extra money in the money rounds. And sometimes they help you avoid some events that come up that hurt everybody. Like you might have zoo checkup. And what zoo checkup is all of your animals have to get checked up and you get charged for it. But if you have a vet on staff, you don't get hit by that, so you don't lose the monies.
Right.
And you play until scoring rounds, and in the 2-player game we played, first person that won 4 trophies, was it? Was the winner of the game. But if we tied, nobody won that trophy, and that trophy went to the bottom of the stack of the trophies.
Right.
So there for a while, I had a whole bunch of stuff going on, and you were building up your staff and your facilities, and I had a crap ton of birds. Well, the birds scoring didn't come out until like the second or third round of scoring. But you got points for facilities. I got points for, I think it was biodiversity. I had the most different areas of animals. And then we tied on like predators.
Yeah.
So then we were 1-1. When we went to the next round, we tied on like 2 of them.
Yeah.
And it took until, we played all the way until the end of the game until somebody got the 4th trophy one.
Right. It's really well themed. I give it a 5 out of 5 on
the theme, especially for a card game.
Yeah.
A small, I mean, we've been throwing a lot of little card games on our shelf to where they're taking up more room than you think about it.
What's a quick little easier version of Ark Nova, I thought. And I was glad we played it.
I was too. It was one that I wouldn't mind if we found it down the road. I don't think... We got out of Village Meeple as they were trying to close, so we didn't peruse their shelf. But the next time we stop by, if they have a copy, I wouldn't mind picking it up.
Yeah. And
this plays up to 4. The BGG, their community says it plays best at 3, and I can see that. Because the drafting and all that stuff is pretty fun. Last but not least is another game that we played back at Geekway to the West. This is one that the gameplay is nice, but the aesthetics are just excellent. This is Northwest, designed by Rick Ho. The artist is Isaac Lefevre, and published by Brickhouse Games. In Northwest, you have a wooden board, and then you have wooden dice that you roll, or I think they had a grab bag. And then you blind draw, put them all out on this board, and then you have this wooden hiker. And you go around and you move the hiker based on what the previous player picked.
Yeah, so you really have to pay attention to what the person before you has done.
So like, and then whenever you move the hiker, you move it to the next dice that you want based on what moves you have available. Mm-hmm. And then you put it in your board. And you have mushrooms, which I don't think are worth anything of themselves, except for there's a global goal of whoever has the most mushrooms gets points. So if you're going for that, great. But if you don't get it and you stuffed your board full of mushrooms and you don't get any points, that sucks. Mushrooms, whenever you pick one of those, the next player in line can then move, I think, any direction 1 space. Then you have ferns. They score on diagonals. And I think the next player then gets to move 1 space diagonally from wherever that hiker was.
And you're collecting these dice off the wooden board and putting them in front of you. So slowly the board is clearing out.
The weird one was the honeybee or the bumblebee. Whenever you take him, the next player gets to move like a knight's move in chess. Mm-hmm. It's up 2 spaces and over, or up 1 space and over 2.
Yeah. Same
difference, but we played it. Aesthetically, it looks really nice. This would be a game that would look really nice on a coffee table.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget the Sasquatch.
Oh, yeah, there's a Sasquatch. So the Sasquatch, if somebody takes him, takes them. I haven't looked at a Sasquatch. I don't know what it is. The next player can go in a cardinal direction, up, down, left, right, as far as they want to the next place. Yeah. Whenever you put the Sasquatch on its board, it does not want to be next to or in the same row or column on your board to score. I think it scores quite well. Mm-hmm. But your board is only like a 4x4 or a 5x5 grid, so it gets tight real quick. And if you put a Sasquatch on there, it's going to be a little bit before you put another Sasquatch on there because they need so much room to score and grow and love. But that was the 4 in the 417Gamer podcast.
Yeah.
What do you think we should talk about?
The one topic of the show.
The one topic of the show, if we do this right, is older games.
Yes.
I'm excited about this one.
Yeah. We've been talking about it for a long time. It's about time we put it on the show.
Yeah. Hey guys, Metagames Unlimited is Southwest Missouri's friendly local game store of choice. Large play space, great board game selection, magic cards, Warhammer, paint, supplies, everything you could want for gaming. The 417 Gamers and we usually are out every Thursday night from 6 to close playing them games, teaching them up. Come out and play games with us. Also, check out some of the events that they run in town. Check their Facebook at mguinc.com or go over to the Facebook page, facebook.com/Metagames Unlimited, or on Instagram at meta_games_unlimited. Let's get on with the topic of the show. Welcome back to episode 43, and we are joined by a friend and guest. He's a fellow 417 gamer, and he's a proprietor of Metagames. Alan, say hello.
Hello, everyone.
I used an old word, proprietor. That segues into our topic of the show, which is older games. So the hobby itself is very much predicated on cult of the new and the fear of missing out. I think both of our collections, when we go back to them, there's those tried and true games, and you kind of forget, A, how good they are sometimes, and B, how old they are. We were looking at our lists, and when we do the top 7 in the next segment, we're looking at games 15 years and older. But I mean, by today's standards, a game that's like 7 years old is still kind of old in the hobby.
Mm-hmm. Oldies but goodies.
Oldies but goodies. But I mean, if you go to like a convention and they're giving away prizes, there's some people that would thumb their nose if they got a game that was more than 5 or 6 years old and be like, "Oh, this isn't new."
There's some of those old ones that are way better than some of the new ones even.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. So let's start with the modern classic. How old do you think a game needs to be for it to be a modern classic? Does it need to be 5 years, 7 years, 10?
10 years.
You think 10 years for modern classic?
Yeah, especially with how fast time goes by.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's easy to forget some of those. So when you're talking 10, 15, 20 years, it's pretty impressive if a game's still being brought up and brought to the table consistently.
Yeah. Andrea?
No, I agree. I am often shocked and amazed at how quickly time flies, because something will seem like, oh, that was just a year or two ago, and it's like, that was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And I feel like that with games. It's like, oh, this is a newer game, and you're like, that's 5 years old. I'm like, no way.
And see, that's why I think modern classic for me is 7. Because if a game does not have the it factor, I think it falls away after 5, 3 to 5 years if it's not supported with expansions or whatever.
Maybe even a year sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's a one and done.
It's surprising how many games come out that are super hot and everybody just, has to have it, and yet they'll get it out, play it once, and then you don't hear about it ever again.
Yeah, as hot of a game as Flip 7 is, I'm wondering if it burns out, just flames out, because it's huge, it's hot, it's everywhere. But I kind of feel like Hanabi was that for a brief minute. It came out when the Spiel des Jahres was on Shut Up and Sit Down. And then they also brought out that one edition that was tiles. Same game, but you play with tiles instead of cards. And then I think it just kind of dried up, and I haven't seen it. I don't see it played ever.
Yeah, and I think that Flip 7 would be one of those that it might cool off for a bit, but then it will make a resurgence because it's just that adaptable and so easy to bring out. And I think Hanabi could be one of those too. We're mentioning it now, and who knows? We could bring it back out. And who knows? It can be popular again. The game comes to mind too, where it hasn't been played in a little while, but it was super hot when it came out. But those little games like that are at that price point, I think do have a chance of falling away for a bit and then coming back really hot.
So do you try and make a conscious effort on your shelf to look for the older games when you're playing, or do you just, whatever comes to your mind, that's what you play?
I sometimes lean into the older ones more so than the new ones, just because of the comfort of knowing how to play and being able to show new people or new people to the table with me at that time. I have the understanding of being able to get them through the first couple of turns without boring them with the rule book, so to speak. So I tend to look at the older ones, especially, with people who haven't played a whole lot or maybe haven't played in a long while. And I think my list will kind of represent those because those are the ones that consistently still keep getting brought out to the table.
Kind of like Whoopee games, old little comfortable game. Like, I know that one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's some of the old games also on that you look at, like Twilight Imperium 3. It's more than 15 years old. I know 4 is the newer, updated version. TI 3 I have stories from.
Yeah.
And I have probably more affinity for that game because every game I ever played with it came with the story. Mm-hmm. Some good, some bad.
Yeah.
TI 4 I played the heck out of, and I was happy with my plays, but it doesn't have the same punch, and that also could be because of the length of play. As long as TI 4 is, TI 3 was longer. It was bigger. Mm-hmm. But what's a game from at least 10 years or older that you're surprised is still consistently played?
Power Grid. And it's the one that's asked for a lot by friends over the years to be like, hey, let's get that out tonight and play it.
Andrea?
Pandemic.
Yeah.
Pandemic's awesome as long as you can curtail the quarterbacking. And that's my problem with co-op games. So while Pandemic, I think, is really influential, and I think if we talked about a list as far as games that influenced board gaming as a whole, I think Pandemic would be on there, but it just doesn't really register in my mind. It's one that I bring up and can talk about a lot because I played a ton of it, and I think it really energized the board game community when it was released. But it just lends itself too much to quarterbacking if you don't have some house rules.
I agree, but I am surprised how often we see it come out and play.
Yeah, true.
More than 10 years. And not only that, with the several editions, there's a Star Wars edition. They just came out with the Lord of the Rings version that we're looking to probably get. But when you look at, it's Matt Leacock is the designer, and he's designed others. I mean, Forbidden Island, Forbidden Jungle, Forbidden Desert.
Daybreak.
You see those games every now and again played, but they're not prevalently played like Pandemic. Also, you look at a game like Ghost Stories, which is just, nails hard. So it almost, you don't know how he fit that weight, where it's hard, but it's fun hard. Mm-hmm. And you can make it as easy as you want by putting, the Pandemic cards to easy or legendary. And we beat it one time on legendary, and that's the only time I've ever beat it on legendary. And beat it on hard a time or two, and then medium and easy, absolutely.
It was super fun when it came out. And again, very influential. Just co-ops for me are really tough.
Sure.
But it definitely is probably one of the older games that I've probably played the most. Yeah. Very accessible.
So as a store owner, whenever you're assessing or when you were assessing your shelf space, how hard is it for you to try and tie up shelf space to the older games versus the new shiny?
I don't think it's very hard at all, especially if I've played them a lot. It makes it easier to get excited about it, remember on the stories that you've had, and being able to relate to the person who might be looking at something that you like as well. So I think it becomes something you can talk about very easily, and you're open about it and your experiences about it. So it just makes it flow a lot easier when you're getting together with people or telling them about, hey, you might like this one. So especially if they say, hey, I want to play, territory control. It's, really easy to have that conversation with them. Or, hey, I want to play some bidding and, whatever. You can always relate to what you play the most. So, going with older is not necessarily a bad thing at all. No. The problem is getting some of those older ones to still remain where you can get them from distribution or from sellers.
Well, and then Tom Bassel on the Dice Towers talked about if it's that good of a game, it will get reprinted in some form or fashion. Yep. Which is true. I mean, El Grande got picked up by Hansheim Gluck. I think that's who printed this last version. Beautiful art.
Yeah.
Nice pieces. When you go back and look at the old, 99 version? Or it was an older version. Yeah. It's not the prettiest.
No.
It's very simple cards. It's cubes. And you have basically what looks like a clue pawn that is, the king that goes around.
Yep.
But it's so fun.
It is very fun. And a lot of great memories and a lot of great stories.
Very mean.
Very mean. Very mean. Friendships are lost.
And you don't think a game with cubes can be that mean?
It is very mean.
It is very mean.
Very much a good time, though.
So, I think we should start talking about some of our favorite old games.
Sure, we've touched on a couple.
Andrew, you want to go on to the 7?
Let's do it.
We want to shout out to Rio Grande Games. Thank you very much, Jay Tomlinson, for sending games to Moon City Con. Rio Grande publishes my favorite game in Concordia, designed by Matt Gertz. They also have some other games. Woodcraft by Vladimir Suchi. And Dominion is a loved game in the 417 Gamer group that is designed by Donald X. Vaccarino. Check out their brand new game, Moon Colony Bloodbath. That is me and Andrea's current game of the year. Check out RioGrandeGames.com or contact your friendly local game store and get your Rio Grande game. The 7 in the 417 Gamer podcast is our 7 list of a given category, and we're talking old games. I gave a homework assignment to everybody to talk about your favorite games 15 years old and older. Andrea and I have the added no mass market games on our list because we're going to probably make that its own topic here in coming episodes. But Alan, free reign to put whatever games you want on your list. Andrea, you want to start us off with your number 7?
Ladies first.
Oh, thank you. My number 7 is Telestrations. It is a hilarious party game that we still frequently play, and it has kind of almost moved into the mass market.
Yeah.
Because I see them at the Walmart and the Target, because it's become so popular that enough people are buying it that they can carry it, at the big box stores. And I even sometimes hear commercials on the radio for it.
Mm-hmm.
There are wonderful stories I have from playing this game with friends and family, along with our heavier board game group.
Yeah.
It is a combination of the Pictionary and the what's that game where you
telephone game
where you whisper a word, and so you'll be the first player. Everyone draws a picture of a word that they've been given, and then they'll pass it along, and someone will write, I think this is a house, and then they will write house, and then the next player, you pass it around, and then they'll draw a picture of a house, and then the next player will look at the picture of the house, and they'll say, oh, that looks like an apartment building, and then all the way around, and you're hoping when it gets back to the first player that it's the same thing that they originally wrote down. I don't know that ever happens.
No, I always hope to see it spiral out, but I want to see it spiral out naturally.
Yeah.
You can tell when somebody's just trying to make it funny, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Mm-hmm. But every time when people are trying to actually guess what the drawing is and then draw what the word is, I feel like it plays way better when it's honest.
I agree.
But Telestrations is being reprinted by USA Opoly, or it's now called The Op. It's got new art, new box art. It's got new pads. I think they've got better markers and pads at this point, because our markers are dying. Although our copy of, we have the big party pack, the 12-player Telestrations.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's seen better days, so I'm hoping the Op will also reprint the party pack.
That'd be cool.
We might have to pick it up.
It is a fun game.
Alan, your number 7.
My number 7 is Pillars of the Earth.
Ooh, that's a really good one.
And it is a worker placement with the addition of like a random bag that you're pulling out of the bag. I don't know if it wouldn't necessarily be a bag builder, but you're pulling from a bag, so it's got that random aspect coming out of that, and then with the workers that you placed. And it's probably one of the first games I remember that you had the different color worker, Tom the Builder, the random that you could get an extra thing to be able to place on the board. And that spot you could go to, getting, efficiencies of getting another guy to place versus your opponent. So really good time, and had, at the time, really good table aesthetic because you got to build a little cathedral in the middle. So it was really neat, and still one that I'd be happy to play today as well.
And it also has that timing trigger mechanism.
Yes.
Where you place your worker if you want to go ahead and build now, or you can hedge your bets and build a little bit later. But could be some places that have been taken, so maybe you might get some more resources, or you might get a little bonus, but you might get hosed on what you actually need to do.
Yep, it's really good. Still stands the test of time, and terrific game.
My number 7 is Alhambra. It's one of my favorite gateway games, designed by Dirk Henn, published by Queen Games. Alhambra is a tile laying game, and this was bought almost exclusively because I watched Will Wheaton's Tabletop. I watched him play it. I'm like, oh, I think I could play that, teach that, and learn that just from this video. I did. I still read the rules because you have to set up the deck of cards for the scoring cards that come out. So that's just a tad bit awkward, but it's not that hard once you get it figured out. But basically, you're building your Alhambra or Spanish palace. There are 4 different races of workers, and they want to be paid in their national wage. There's gold, there's blue, there's green, there's yellow. They're red, blue, green, yellow. And whenever you're playing, there are tiles of buildings that you can potentially build in your Alhambra, but they want to be paid in the money cards you have of their color. As long as you can pay for it, you get that tile. However, if you pay exact change, you get another turn. The buildings do not replenish until you've completely passed and moved on to the next player. Fun game. Absolutely adore it. It is one of the games I do feel like I can pull back a little bit and let people try and catch back up. Because there's some of the games that I teach, and I don't mean to waffle stomp them. But I'm like, oh man, I didn't. And like, I'll take a weird turn or strategy that I don't know. I'm like, hey, this might not be good. And then I'm like, I beat him by 30. That's not good.
It is a terrific game.
Yeah. That's Alhambra at my number 7.
Thing to watch out, though, when you're playing that one is make sure you get all your tiles placed the right way.
Yeah.
So,
Alan, you're number 6.
Oh, number 6.
Yeah.
It can ruin friendships, has many great stories, and it's most recently has been reprinted as well, and that would be El Grande.
El Grande's great. Little area control, little moving people's stuff, also chucking people's people in the castle.
Yes.
That makes people not happy.
You don't know how many pieces are under the castle, so there's a lot of intrigue, a lot of great area control, and again, a lot of friendships that might be destroyed because of that game. So everybody will remember the El Grande incident of 2012. Everybody.
My number 6 is Uwe Rosenberg's greatest game of all time. It is Bonanza. It is bean trading. It is bean farming. It is trading. You got 2 plots of land.
Your list, not mine.
You have a hand of cards that may not be changed or reorganized. So if you have card players, it bugs the crap out of them that they can't reorder their cards. Well, why not? Because the front of your turn, you have to plant the first card in your hand. Then you may plant the second card. After that, 2 cards come up from the market for the offering. You can keep them to yourself, or you can trade them with any players on the market. But while the trading phase is going on, all trades have to go to or from the active player. They cannot go through, and anything traded must get planted. At any time during the game, you can uproot a field, and sometimes you may have to. And then each of the beans at the bottom will tell you how many cards in your planting field you need to make a coin. And they all max out at 4 coins. So, like the coffee bean might need 12 cards or 16 cards to make 4 coins, whereas like the wax bean might only need 8 cards to make 4 coins. I thoroughly enjoy this game, and I've heard a couple people after they play it with me be like, our game went and it's fun, and I'm like, you got to get people in it.
Yeah.
But I love me some Bonanza.
I'm glad you do.
Yeah. Andrew, you're number 6.
Well, it's Ticket to Ride. It is still, in my opinion, just as good as it was a million years ago when it came out.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, there have been multiple reprints of the smaller games. There's a San Francisco.
Yeah, the City series have been really good.
Yeah, and they're all just a little bit different. And then there is the Ticket to Ride Legacy game, which we've picked up, but we've not opened yet.
We need to play it.
We do. I still really enjoy this, and I'm looking forward to cracking that bad boy open.
Not only that, we probably spent too much money on upgraded train pieces.
Yes.
There's a company called the Little Plastic Train Company. So we got them, and we could potentially use them in other train games, but the primary game that'll probably be used in is Ticket to Ride. Let's see here. That brings me to my number 5. My number 5 is Chinatown. I think this is designed by Kirsten Hartwig. The last publishing was by Z-Man. They re-themed it as Water Park or Waterfall Park. And it was fine, but there was just enough change that I was like, I don't enjoy it as much. I just want to play Chinatown. So Chinatown does have a little, it has a racial connotation, and I get it, and the people that don't like it, I get it. I like it for the trading. It is my favorite trading and negotiation game, period. It's above Bonanza by one spot, and that's how much more I like it, is that one extra spot. But you are all Chinese immigrants. You're inheriting plots of land in Chinatown. You're getting plans to build buildings in there to make income. So once you get your plots of land, you will also get squares of building tiles. Those are plans of buildings to be built. And then the trading phase happens. You can trade money. You can trade plots of land. You can trade buildings. Once, and this is one that I do a home rule that we do 5 minutes for trades with a soft cap. At the end, if you and other players feel like you're close to a deal, we put 1 more minute on the clock with the hard cap. At the end of that, if you cannot come to an agreement, we're done. We go on to the next segment. Otherwise, we have several friends that are numbers and accountants and numbers peoples that will min-max and hem and haw for too long to let them go. I mean, they'll take this game that essentially should be a 90-minute game, maybe an hour, and push it to like 2 and 3. And that makes a game that is great miserable. Don't do that to my game. But Chinatown is my number 5. Andrew, you're number 5.
Wits and Wagers.
Yeah, Wits and Wagers is good.
I know we've talked about this on the podcast before. We really like this game. It's a fantastic party style game that you can use the cards that come with the game, or you can make up your own, which we have done a couple times. Like at a Christmas party, you can make up questions that are Christmas themed, or a birthday, you can make up questions like if someone was born in 1975, you can make all of your questions things that happened in 1975.
Google's your friend.
Yeah, what do you think was the average price of a new car in 1975, or stuff like that. And then people have a board, which to me kind of looks like a football field, where you've got the lines and you're trying to guess. You put your bets down, which is where the wagers come in, of how close you think your answer is to the correct answer.
Without going over.
Price is Right style. And we still enjoy this.
Alan, you're number 5.
Number 5. Mine would be Cyclades.
Yeah.
It's very good. It's so good, they just reprinted it again with the Legendary Edition, and it's so good that I'm keeping both versions. The old with everything, which includes the Kemet crossover, and then the Legendary Edition, of course, which was just released. Don't have any more shelf space, but it's good enough that it's going to occupy 2 spots. So
Kemet was just too young by 2 years for it to make my list. Otherwise, Kemet would be mine.
Yeah,
nice.
It's a very good one, too.
Andrea, let's do number 4.
Number 4 for me is maybe a mass market crossover, 5 Crowns.
5 Crowns is by Set, and I don't know how they got into the stores, and I don't know if Set got bought by a bigger company, but 5 Crowns is now acquired by another small company. So while it's in the big stores, when I was thinking of mass market games, I was thinking of mass market publishers like Parker Brothers and Mattel and stuff like that. So 5 crowns, I think, absolutely your game.
Yeah, we have taken it to the point where we carry a copy in our car with us at all times in case we go over to a friend's house for a barbecue or something, and we're like, hey, let's break out a quick and easy game, pull out the 5 crowns. We took a copy to South Carolina with us. We went to visit some friends. They had people over for a barbecue. We're like, hey, you want to play a game? And they're like, oh, we don't have any games. We're like, we do. So we pulled out the 5 crowns, and that was 2 years ago, and they still have game night out there without us, of course, where they still
playing 5 crowns about every other week.
That's awesome. Yeah. I did 5 crowns. I played with you, Rick. You're the one who introduced me to that one, and it was so good. I gave them away as Christmas presents last year, so it was awesome.
5 crowns so good.
It was really good. A lot of good times.
It's a better Phase 10 in my opinion. It's got that rummy-ish element, and you're trying to get sets and runs. But yeah, 5 crowns. Probably should have made my top 7 list, but there's so many good games at 15 years old and older.
There are tons of really good ones. It's hard to narrow down. In fact, we talked before we started recording about, there are those games that are influential, but they may not be like in my top 7 because they're just not my favorite, so to speak, favorite. But they're definitely influential in the board gaming world, and I definitely respect them. But they're just not my top 7. But they're very good.
Yeah.
My number 4 is going to be Airlines Europe. This is by Alan Moon, the same designer of Ticket to Ride. Airlines Europe has just a little bit more to it than Ticket to Ride. It's not much more, but there's some stock elements to it, where you're going to have stock cards in your hand, and you're going to have some that are played out, and you're going to try and put planes on the board to up your stock prices and connect different airlines. It's pretty easy. It's fun. It plays up to like 5 or 6 players, and it plays it well.
I really like the game. I've enjoyed it. I played it a total of 2 times. I would love to play it more, but it's definitely a really good game. Yeah. One that I would have liked to have played more when it came out, and people were eager to play it, but it's one that kind of gets forgotten. But I think it's very good even today that you can pull it off the shelf and have a great time with it as well. So it's one of those oldies but goodies that sometimes get forgotten.
Yeah.
Alan, your number 4?
Oh, my number 4. I have to go back to my list here. Number 4 is Tuluva. And the reason why it makes my number 4 spot is because it's very easy to get out and play, very easy to teach, very easy to anger your opponents by smashing their tribes and villages.
Yeah.
And at the end of the game, no matter win, lose, or draw, it looks absolutely fantastic because it's 3-dimensional and just a terrific tile placement game.
Especially that anniversary edition where they made the tiles even chunkier.
Yes, very good.
Great.
And it looks great.
Table presence. My number 3 is Hob and Gut, or The Rich and the Goods. This is a stock manipulation game. I love this game. It plays so well. It plays well at 4 and 5. 3 is fine. I've come around to where 3 I don't mind as much as I used to. I used to not like it, and I still think there are better games in our collection at 3.
It's a great time. We even played it over Christmas.
Yeah.
It was fantastic.
Yep.
It is a great time, and it really gets people talking across the table and yelling at each other and why are they doing certain things.
Yeah, you cheapskate. Why are you screwing over my stock?
Yeah, it's fantastic. Fantastic, great time with friends when you get that one to the table.
Alan, your number 3?
Oh, number 3, going back to the list. And it is number 3, Crossbows and Catapults. And this is another one that has been reprinted. However, this one is probably one of the oldest games on my list because I'm going way back. As a kid in the 80s, Crossbows and Catapults, in the living room, on the floor, playing against my cousin, shooting the little disc at his castle, trying to knock over his flags. Fantastic memories. And the game is so well done that my version that when I was a kid, I still own it, and it's still in great shape.
Really?
Oh,
yeah.
That's great.
Yep, all you have to do is replace the rubber bands, and you're good to go. But very well, durable, ABS plastic, just holds up real well. Super good time. The reprint's fantastic too. If you can't find an old one, the new one is just as good, if maybe not a little bit better. But tremendous good time from way back in the 80s.
Andrew, your number 3?
Mine is Dixit, another card game that's still around and still getting expansions printed.
They made a Disney version just a year or two ago.
Yeah.
It's a card game, if you're not familiar, where everyone gets cards, and you will have everyone put down a card based on what they think best matches your theme, which you call out, and it may be something like Beetlejuice or elementary school, and you've got a hand of cards of basically bizarre looking artwork.
Yeah. Kind of surrealist art.
Yeah. And you have to flip through your cards and try and figure out which piece of art best matches what the player whose turn it is, whatever they've called out.
The storyteller.
Storyteller, that's what they're called. And then everyone lays their cards down, face down. You shuffle them up and you lay them out. And then people vote on which piece of art or card they think is the best match. And if you got it right, you get so many points. Whoever didn't get any votes on theirs doesn't get any points. And we always have a really good time.
Alan, your number 2.
My number 2, no surprise, it's Territory Control.
Yeah.
And it's Small World. It's fantastic. A lot of great memories. It doesn't get to the table as much as it used to when it was first released.
Right.
However, while I don't play it as much as I used to, I am happy to play it with the right crowd anytime they want to put it to the table. It's very light for Territory Control. Makes it fairly easy. The artwork on that game alone is just so tremendous. There probably are a few too many expansions for it. I think that you can be just fine with the base game and have a great time, and it won't wear out its welcome with just the base game. It does suffer from a lot of expansions, and it makes it a little intimidating to the table when you have that many expansions. But the base game is Small World, number 2.
I kind of soured on my first few plays. Jeff, at your store, actually sold me and my friends it because we were wanting something that was aggressive and attacky. And he sold us this, and you're taking people's pieces over, but it's not really attacky. So when we played, I'm like, no, this is all right. What we picked up later, which I'm going to go ahead and say this is my honorable mention, is Cutthroat Caverns. That was mean. That was mean enough for us. But when I came back to it, when I started playing Small World with you and our late friend Brad and Mike and everybody, it was like, this is really good. It wasn't what I was wanting at that time, and that's what soured my opinion. But when you go back to it with an open mind, it's really, really good.
And it's really neat because you can the powers of the characters that you get, they mix and match. So there's always a different game that you're playing, even though you're playing on the same map. You can have different types of wizards or different types of trolls, and it just makes it a whole lot of fun. It's great little territory control for something that isn't so deep, because it's a little lighter for the area control folks.
Andrew, your number 2?
Carcassonne.
Yeah,
it's a great one.
This game still makes it out to game night. Pretty often, actually. And we actually used Carcassonne as our guest book.
We did.
For our wedding. Everyone signed a tile. And so we have this special version that we'll bring out. And every time we lay down a tile, we're like, hey, it's so-and-so.
And 2 people put their names on the back. We're like, aw, bless them.
Bless their hearts.
Probably was me.
No,
no, that's good.
Just family that didn't know which
that they didn't understand.
Because we had little blurb up there. Hey, this is our guest book. Put your name on it. We'll love to put your name on the front of the tiles. Well, they didn't know what the front of the tiles were, so they just put it on the C. Because
understandable. I get it if you're not a gamer. Mm-hmm. Now, Carcassonne again is one of those influential games. Definitely a great game. Just not one that made my list of my top 7, but definitely understand why it's there. And it is tremendous. And I think why it keeps coming up is because it is easy to teach. Mm-hmm. It's easy to jump right into. I just wish the scoring was a little bit easier to keep track of in that game.
Understood.
My number 2 is Memoir 44.
Great game.
This is the Richard Borg...
Command and Colors, right?
Command and Colors, thank you. Style game where it's card driven and you have dudes on a map. Play the card. It dictates what pieces you can move and where. You move them, and then you can potentially shoot if you're close enough. Roll the wooden die in the early edition or the plastic die in the later editions. If you are shooting at infantry, you want to roll infantry. If you're shooting at a tank, you want to roll a tank. If you roll a grenade, it can hit anything. If you roll a star, you basically whiffed, except for, I think it's the repair card, is about the only thing that you want to see stars on. It's a fantastic game, but the reason why it's so far up is we play Overlord, and I try and get Overlord played about once or twice a year. We haven't gotten it played in over a year because we had so much life with us, but we'll get it out again this year. In fact, they're coming out with a Star Wars version, like Battle for Hoth or something like that.
Very
I think
excited
it is.
for that. That's going to be cool.
If it has an Overlord variant, we're going to be picking up 2 games, and that might take our place of the Overlord play for this year.
Fantastic. Great game, and every time you have it out, the table presence gets everybody asking questions. Hey, what is that you're playing? Really
And when you're playing Overlord, it's 8 players. So it's got that camaraderie, especially when you bring in new players. I've had couples come to game nights and sit down like, I don't know, it's a war game. It is, but it isn't. Sit down, you have a good time, you chuck some dice, try and kill your husband's guys.
Yeah. It's a good time.
All right, we're about to do number ones. We're going to use the start player to see who goes first. All right, Andrea will go first. Alan will go second. I will go third. Andrea, what's your number one?
7 Wonders.
7 Wonders is really good.
That's a fantastic game. It's a great time.
We actually have all of the versions of 7 Wonders. We have a 7 Wonders Architect and 7 Wonders Duel. We play 7 Wonders Duel a lot.
We do.
Just the 2 of us. But if we're going out to game night, the original 7 Wonders still makes it to the table. Still very good game.
I prefer the 7 Wonders to the Architects. Architects is just a tad easier, and I get it. It's a quicker teach. It's a quicker setup and a quicker put back in the box. But if we have the time and people are willing, especially if we have people that already know it, 7 Wonders I prefer to play. It's really good.
That's a tremendous game.
Alan, your number one?
My number one, and I spoiled it a little bit earlier, but it's one that continues to come out to the table regularly when I get a chance to have a game night, and that is Power Grid. Yeah. It's fantastic. Auction, development, resources, manipulation of the market, getting your spot on the board, trying to beat your opponent to spots on the board, can end really quick if everybody knows what they're doing at the table. So it's just amazingly how good it is for its age, and it still gets brought to the table to this day. And it's just fantastic.
Yeah. My number one is Pitch Car. This is designed by Gene Poel. It came out in '95 as Carabande. Got picked up by Ferty Games, and it is printed about once a year by Ferty in France.
It's coming out again in November.
I know. I told Carl to look for it because he's like, I don't know when it prints. I said, this is when it prints. I said, June, July is when it gets printed in France. And you have to keep your eye out for Eagle Gryphon because they will get their allotment of that print. And I haven't heard this specifically from them. I'm just deducing because every year this happens, Ferty, I have an alert that whenever Ferty's prints go up.
Nice.
I'm like, hey, here's what I want. Because I already told him what I want. I said, hey, if the expansions are in this, I want 2 of the Epsilons and I'd like another set of long straights. And he's like, if they have them on there, I will get them for you, which is awesome.
This can be great.
But Pitch Car is a dexterity game. It's got these wooden pieces that are kind of have like puzzle joints. And you have straights, you have 90s, you have 45s. You connect them together to make a racetrack.
They have loop-de-loops.
They have loop-de-loops. But I've seen the 3D print loop-loops.
Oh.
And I might talk to somebody and see if they can't make me a 3D printed loop-de-loop.
I think I promised one of those before, and I need to get back to it.
It's all right. Well, they have different sizes now. They used to have a little bitty one that looked like a miniature golf loop-de-loop, but they make one that's one that like can, it's multiple pieces.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how big of a pain in the butt that is.
I think we got the technology these days.
Hey,
we'll do it. We need to get a reminder to now get on.
Pitch Car's great, and in fact, as of this recording, I'm doing a house rules variant that the homebrew called Pitch Force, where I combine Downforce and Pitch Car, and that plays really well too. So that was our top 7 games that are 15 years and older. I gave my honorable mention. Andrea, do you have an honorable mention that you'd like to talk about?
I do. It's a game called Tumbling Dice.
Yeah.
that we have brought out a couple of times. The kids really love this one. I do too. Ooh, sorry, we're recording on the 4th of July. Nothing exploded. It was just fireworks.
Yeah, and it's light out, and they're shooting off the big stuff. And I was hoping it's still light out, we'll record, and won't be that many boom booms. But yeah, there's a lot of boom booms.
I really like Tumbling Dice. It's another dexterity game. The board is very interesting. It has, you kind of flick your dice off a tiered board. It's 3D tiered. And as you go down the board, the values of the dice increase. So you multiply the number of pips on your dice where it lands, multiplied by the area of the board that it landed on. To roll your score. And you can also shuffleboard style knock other people's dice off the board. It's a really fun, cute little dexterity game. Your pitch card made me think of it.
Alan, honorable mention?
Honorable mention, and it was very hard not to squeeze it into my list. Very much, very high up for me. However, it is not high up enough with the friends that I play with regularly. Rick, because he does not like deck builders that much.
I don't.
And that would be Dominion. I really enjoy that game. However, it's hampered by my ability to get it to the table. Therefore, it's just an honorable mention.
There's quite a few people on a Thursday night that will play it. I'm just not one of them. And I don't hate... Well, yeah, I do hate that game.
And that's good. It's okay. I mean, I understand.
If that's what's at the table and people are like, this is what we're playing, I will play it begrudgingly. But man, does it suffer from the everybody's playing solitaire.
Right.
You get your deck, I'll get my deck, she gets her deck. You let me know when you've won.
And, the reason, again, it's that influence that I remember that it had on the gaming community as a whole when it came out. Because it was the it game, and it has lasted a very long time. And very well deserving, even with the solitaire feeling and your dislike of deck builders. Definitely influential and worthy of an honorable mention. Dominion.
That was the 7 in the 417Gamer podcast. Alan, we're going to have you join us back on episode 44, where we're going to run you through the 7 questions from the 417Gamers.
Oh.
But until next time, keep gaming in the 417. Goodbye!
Goodbye!
Bye.
The 417Gamer podcast is recorded and produced by Andrea and Rick Bagwell. The intro music we use, Kind, Gentle, Beautiful Person, and the outro music, Making Up for Last Time, was created by Origami Replica. For links to our show notes, music, and guest links, head over to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Hobby Gaming Network. Until next time, keep gaming in the 417.